Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy Cool. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. We talking sports. It is Tuesday. You know what that means? It's time for another episode of your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. Look at everyone. We're looking good. We're feeling fine. Scottie D is looking out the window. He's over at the golf course. B-Live is chilling as usual, doing his thing. And me, I'm just happy to be here. I'm the HOC, the head of creative here, Eddy Cool, and this is the 162nd installment of the Sports Bros Podcast. I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to introduce two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Man, oh man, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but we got a little bit of a chill over the course of this weekend, and we're actually pretty much Sunday, because there was an avalanche that stormed across the land. Stanley Cup champions. Fine, we're going to talk about it, but I still just feel a little chill inside my body. It wasn't my Hurricanes. It wasn't the Bruins. It wasn't whoever Scottie D, whoever is the most popular team or the most expensive team in hockey. That's usually what he goes for. I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of the way because Cowboys, Yankees. Who's your other team? The Lakers. All of them have something in common. They make the most money. They're the most marketable team. So
Pirates, Pitt Panthers, Penguins.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to go and get that out of the way. So I'll say it before he does. Just because there's gonna be some mess anyway to talk about them. But go ahead and introduce that other guy. I'll get his introduction out of the way. He's part of the team too, so I might as well.
All right. And the other guy, ladies and gentlemen, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. Welcome to Scott Donnelly and the Sports Bros Podcast.
No, wrong. No. See, first of all, as a country, we've already gone backwards enough. We're not, but you're not about to put us on the back of the bus.
Oh no,
we're not. We are not doing that. Start over. Just start over. Nope.
Welcome to the Money Man Scottie D.
That wrong. Try again. We not about to do.
Well, how you guys doing? It's good to see you guys. We are getting into.
I'm not working under these
dog
conditions.
Days of summer here.
I protest.
We are past.
This ain't gonna be a peaceful protest either. This is gonna be. I'm gonna burn the whole place down.
Past the NHL season, it's time to start talking about cereal and cookies again. We do have a little bit to talk about.
He is going to reintroduce himself.
You guys are lucky to have, because B-Live rambles like that in the background.
I will ramble the entire time until he announces the podcast the way it's supposed to be. I refuse to sit on the back of the bus. I'm not going to do it.
Welcome to the Scott Donnelly Show.
No, wrong.
Let's get started. Let's get it going here.
All right, before you.
No. He's going to do it right this time. I'm giving him one more time.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today?
He's gonna leave.
Eddy Cool, Amtrak this thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna run you over with the train in a second. That's how we go Amtrak. I'm gonna throw you right in front of the train. That's what's gonna happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, within the first 5 minutes, I've lost all control of the Damn Sports Bros Podcast. But let me get this here train back on the track. Let's go ahead and get into it. The top of the order before they kill each other. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. As B-Live mentioned, we have some new champions, and they are the Colorado Avalanche as they go into Tampa Bay and raise Lord Stanley's Cup and drop it. And they drop it as they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 in Game 6 and gives them the 4-2 win in the series over the defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Scottie D, you got any takeaways from this here game series, if you will? What say you?
Yeah, it was the two best teams going at it, and I think the ratings reflected that. If I'm not mistaken, that this was a very highly rated NHL Finals. And just when you thought that the Avalanche had things under control, they got a chance to wrap it up at home, the Lightning showed why they are the two-time defending champions, and they said, no parade tonight, not on our watch, we're going back home. And you get to Game 6, and Tampa Bay just had too big of a hole to dig out of because Colorado was all over them. But Game 6 was what really good hockey should be. You had the two biggest stars on each team, Nathan McKinnon and Steven Stamkos, each scoring a goal, and you had the two goalies who, were part of the two best teams in the league, basically turning everything away. You got Colorado had two in the second period, and that was all that they needed. It was good goaltending. It was good hockey, and it was exciting. I mean, I was actually kind of sad to see this one end because, I really did feel like these were the two best teams. And you don't always get that in sports. Sometimes it's a hot team or a good team gets upset. The best team gets upset in the first round of the series to a lesser team, and then it just makes things wide open. And that's all fine, too. But this was the case. The two best teams in hockey played each other, and they delivered because it was a good series all the way around, I thought. How about you guys?
Yes, very much so. I could not keep my eyes off of it except for Friday. I was hoping and praying that it went to a Game 6 because I did not watch Game 5 because I was tired and I'm old. But see, what happened was when I woke up, I realized that, yes, it went to a Game 6 and I got to see the best of the best. Colorado just refuses to win clinching games at home. They didn't do it all postseason. All four of their series clinchers were on the road. They had a whopping,
it was, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all four of them were. All four of them were. They were 9 wins, 1 loss on the road in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was fitting. It was absolutely fitting. And I loved every bit of it. There's just enough controversy to make it spicy, where they didn't blow the play dead because of a delay penalty because he didn't have control of the puck until the penalty, they had a delay penalty, hand went up after Tampa Bay's player touched the puck. Then once again there was another too many men on the ice controversy when the skate fell off and he was crawling on the ice trying to get over. Man, I don't care what anybody says. That's just good sports altogether. When you have just enough spice of a little bit of controversy. Oh, man, I love every bit of it. Colorado was just the faster team.
They looked fast, and it looked like maybe as in the middle of the series, that kind of evened out a little bit. But you could see they ramped that up in Game 6. They didn't want to take a chance and go back home and have an anything can happen scenario. They wanted to go ahead and prove they were the best team. And to me, it looked like they ramped up their intensity and speed in Game 6. They looked more focused than they did maybe being at home. After going up 3-1, they thought, we got this. We're going to go home and clinch it and have a parade. And Tampa Bay said, not so fast. And it could have, it may have been the thing that needed to refocus them. But Live, you're right. They looked fat, especially, we said that last week after the first couple games. It looked like Colorado had a little bit more pep in their step. They had better legs. They were faster. And then it looked like that again in Game 6. So, yeah, their speed and depth were the difference, I think. But Tampa Bay it's not, I don't feel like they're the team that's teetering on the edge of the cliff. I think that's a team that we might see them again there. Next, they could win the whole thing again next year.
Let me mention this as well, because this may go with this needs to be said for the Tampa Bay Lightning. This team has done everything. Do you remember a few years back when Tampa Bay was the best team in all of hockey, and then got swept out of the building.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
in the first round.
Yeah. Out of the building, they got swept. And then turned around, all they did was Stanley Cup championship, Stanley Cup championship, Stanley Cup final. I think they're okay. I think they're okay as a franchise. They've done something amazing. They could have been beat down after they were favored to win it all back in 2019. They could have just fell off. They could have, woe is me. No, they just said, no, let's do this all over again. Grabbed the Lord Stanley's Cup, not once, but twice, and then with an unprecedented third time. They tried it. They tried to join the New York Islanders of the early 80s. They tried it. But you know what? They've got such a strong program there. Colorado was just a little bit faster. I think both franchises to be right back there next year, fighting for it. Don't worry, my Hurricanes will be back there. I have no doubt in my mind. Maybe the Penguins might be in there somewhere. Who knows? I mean,
oh boy, here we go.
We'll see. You know, but this was overall just great Stanley Cup playoffs.
And the best team in the league won the cup, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The best team in the league did win the cup. My final thoughts on this is when you look at Tampa Bay, I think they had the most daunting task within the past 24 to 36 months, especially when it comes to winning the cup in the bubble, and then winning the cup the following year in the in the somewhat normal season, and then to get to the Stanley Cup Finals for the third time. That's a big task. But as you remember during the playoffs, fellas, Tampa Bay, they got behind in the series early, and they had to claw back. You know, a coworker and I we were talking at work today. I said, you know what? A cat has 9 lives. And I think that, as they say, the cat has 9 lives. And I think that Tampa Bay might have been on 9.9999999 in this series against Colorado. Playing from behind in the series eventually catches up with you, and we saw, and I think we saw the end result of that in last night's series clinching game. Because if you play a young team that's hungry, that's fast, that hits, I mean, they're good. They're good on like offensively, defensively. The goaltender is pretty good as well too. So I think what we saw last night was no surprise, and I'm not surprised that Colorado won because, like Scottie D said, I think the best team in the league won Lord Stanley's Cup. Just don't drop it. Just don't drop the cup. That's all that. Just please don't drop the cup, because that's not a good look. So Cale Makar, he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's like what, 22 or 23, one of the youngest to win it?
23.
And they say he's going to be a threat for a long time.
Yeah, he's a real deal. They say he's listed as a defenseman, but he's more than a defenseman. Like, he's really more than a defenseman. And also I saw it on a 4-letter network this morning. They was like, you know what, this might be the changing of the guard. But I agree with you fellas. Like, Tampa Bay is loaded. Tampa Bay is stacked. They're battle tested. They have the experience. And I won't be surprised if these same two teams run it back next year. What say y'all?
Could happen.
Oh, man. Salary cap is going up. There's going to be a little bit more money to be paid to the players. So it'll make it easier to keep the same teams together. So it's going to be exciting to say the least. Oh, God. As Scottie D said, now we're just into basketball. There's a couple other things we sprinkle in there. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But, yeah,
Yep. And speaking of basketball, let's go ahead and move right along to the next segment. The NBA draft. It happened last week. The Magic draft Paolo Banchero from Duke. The Thunder get Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga, and the Rockets draft Jabari Smith from Auburn. So I'm looking at right now, We got 3 teams that are pretty much cellar dwellers, and hopefully these young cats can improve their teams. Out of the 3 fellas, which do you think can make the most instant impact on their team, quick, fast, and in a hurry?
I'm gonna say this. This might be controversial. It really isn't, but I'm gonna say how I feel. If Chet Holmgren eats one sandwich,
yes, I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it.
He might make an immediate impact because he has the length, he has the drive, he has the shooting ability. He just needs to bulk up. This dude needs a sandwich in his life, a ham and cheese up in his life. I'm saying, bruh, eat, bulk up, please. I think if Chet Holmgren was 7'1", 240 pounds, he would be one of the most dangerous people that came out of this draft. But he's 7'1", 190 pounds. So he's going to be a development. He needs to bulk up because I guarantee you these dudes in the NBA do not play. This is not Gonzaga anymore. These are 31 teams full of grown men. They may not play as tough as they did in the 90s, but there's going to be some dudes that's going to throw an elbow and they're going to blow a fan and you're just going to whisk away in the wind. So eat a sandwich. Please.
I thought that about Kevin Durant his rookie year too. He was skin and bones. His game might be a little bit different because he's more a perimeter type of player than Holmgren is, but he's going to have to put on a little weight. I mean, he's what is he, 19, 20 years old? I mean,
yep.
No.
His body's going to grow, mature a little bit anyway. So he's going to have to definitely put on a little bit of muscle and maybe stop by the occasional buffet, but I don't think that's going to keep him from being successful. He's
hit that Zion Williamson diet. Let's get it.
Oh man, hey, you see how Zion
he's in the gym.
Yeah,
he's hit the gym, so he's looking better. But that's what I'm talking about. He did whatever Zion was doing. I need Chet Holmgren to eat and then just get some definition. That man. Oh boy, that boy's skinchy. Like the old folks in the country. That boy's skinchy.
Yeah, he's a little skinny, man. I'm looking around. I'm like, damn, son, you look a little like the pants there, buddy. But I mean, like you said, B-Life, he'll be a developmental player. I mean, he'll be a good player. I mean, top 3, he'll be a developmental player. Only thing you gotta do is eat, put on some weight, work on his game, and I think he'll be all. I think he'd be all right. I think the boy.
He's got great instincts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his defensive game. He was a defender on the rim. It's just one of those things. It's going to be a little bit tougher with them boys when boys come at him. That's all I'm saying. This is not the West Coast Conference. Just letting you know.
No, this is
the association, National Basketball Association. These are professionals.
Yeah.
So that's the day. I think his skill set will be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He got to bulk up. That's all. I'll gladly donate my weight to him because I'm way too bulky.
Wouldn't it be great if you had the problem where you needed to eat more to gain weight? Wouldn't that be nice? You know what? We really need you to gain weight. Here, eat some more. Okay. That'd be great. Nice problem to have.
Incentivize feeding, sure, no problem. Breaking news, gentlemen, this probably be broken news by the time this airs. Kyrie Irving is staying with the Nets. According to Breach Report, according to Breach Report, Net star tells Shams, Shams, the basketball guy, he's picking up this $37 million player option and committing to Brooklyn after rumors that he may leave. And they said that Brooklyn was like, LA was like, come on over here and reunite LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. All right, moving on.
That's great for now, but that story could be different tomorrow. He's opting in. He's picking up his option, but Brooklyn might have had enough. I mean, this guy might have 5 more mood changes by the 4th of July. I'm tired of the Kyrie Irving story. I'm tired of this guy.
the reason why he picked up his player option, because nobody, and I mean nobody that he wanted to go to, was going to pick him up and pay him the same amount of money that he was going to make. If he was going to go to the Lakers were the only team that actually sought interest. But they weren't going to sign him for that big deal that he wanted. He's already got these max deals they already got to deal with. So there was no way that I think what could happen right now that might happen is a straight up trade for trade Westbrook for Kyrie. You're dealing bad for bad, but at the end of the note, maybe a different look might just help. That's the only thing that could possibly make sense to have Kyrie in LA.
But keep in mind, the Lakers has hired Darvin Ham as a head coach, and he may just want no part of that nonsense at all.
Darvin Ham has already puckered up his lips to kiss LeBron's tail side. So whatever LeBron wants, Darvin Ham is ready for it. He's already admitted that. So it's LeBron's thing. He's already said it. I heard him say it. I'm like,
that's true. But he might say, look, we just, this isn't going to be good. And
I don't know. I actually wouldn't even mind it. I would love to see Kyrie Irving and LeBron James reunite, and it feels so good. I would love to see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant reunite, and it feels so good. And neither one of them is successful because I'm tired of both of them.
Yeah, I'm tired of Kyrie stories every day.
I'm tired of LeBron stories every day. Let's get to the man. Let's get him past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and hear these people that know nothing about basketball proclaim him as the greatest of all time, which is not true. But I'm bring it back. All right, Eddie, cool. Amtrak this because I've already gone 3 steps away from the story that we initially talked about. All right, we good.
All right, we are going to make a little brief detour right quick. We were going to talk about Draymond, but we're going to save the best for last. We got Brooks Koepka, the PGA, and LIV. All of a sudden, the PGA found some money. Scottie D, what in the hell is going on in the world of golf?
It's like I said last week, or whenever it was, last week, the week before, that this is not good for golf, that this is splitting up the best of the best. And going into the U.S. Open week last week, they're asking Brooks Koepka about it. He was like, I don't want to talk about why are we talking about this? I don't want to hear anything about this. And then as soon as the U.S. Open, he's like, yep, going there. You know, it's the same thing as we said a couple weeks ago. These guys are some of them are just selling out for the money, and you know, hard to blame them, except for the fact that Brooks Koepka had already gone on record a couple years ago and said he's in it for the competition. Well, you're leaving the competition. You're taking more money to play lesser competition in an easier schedule. I mean, I can't necessarily say that it sounds like a terrible idea, but it's just different from what you said before. That's all. It's just different, Brooks, than what you said before.
That one shocked me. It definitely shocked me. I have not seen any stories about how much they signed him, how much money it took for him to put his signature on the dotted line. But man, if this ain't talking out of the side of your neck, and it's bad. I don't like it one bit. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. Back to what Eddie Cool was saying. Somehow, some way, the PGA found some money. They found some money to raise these purses when it comes to these tournaments and everything. Wonder why. So that's the one thing I will say I'm glad for, because somebody's pocketing money they ain't got no business pocketing.
They're also creating more events that are going to bring in more money. The sponsors are up in their game. Everybody that's involved with the PGA, the sponsors and the association itself, they know they have to do something, and they responded. And I say let's give them a little bit of credit for that, because the commissioner Jay Monahan, he came right out and said, look, if it's going to be competing against them for dollars and cents, we can't do it. They have more money there, and good competition can be good, but that's not what this is. He said they're trying to buy a new golf league, and he's right. And some of the players respect that. They know that this is, like I said, nobody grew up dreaming of playing live golf. You grew up wanting to win the Masters. You grew up wanting to win the U.S. Open, the British Open, be part of Ryder Cups. If you're a golfer, this is what you want growing up, to be part of the PGA. And from what I've heard that went on in that room at the meeting they had last week, the PGA players are happy with the new proposal they came up. They're even going to change the calendar so that it's going to be like an old calendar. So the season starts early in the calendar year and ends at the end of the calendar year, rather than overlapping, starting in the fall and overlapping, which I think makes a lot more sense anyway. I mean, why not do it that way? But it's going to give these guys a little bit more freedom. They're going to do some different things with their new events. Hey, I say good on the PGA for stepping it up. But like they said, though, they're never going to be able to give them the kind of money that the Live Golf Association is putting out there.
But my point is this. Why did it take this for them to step up? That's always going to be their hair.
Sure. That's a great point. But
they
didn't have to before.
What this reminds me of? This reminds me of the time where the Monday Night Wars. This is what this reminds me of. It just hit me. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, this sounds all too familiar. The Monday Night Wars. You remember when WWE or WWF was floundering at the time, and WCW and the NWO was on fire. The game was on fire. I think this is a classic case of, like, think about it. The WWF saw what WCW was doing, so therefore they had to switch it up. They had to figure something out. It was either, hey, get it together or get left ass or behind. So they had to figure out something real quick. And see, with the whole Live Golf League and the PGA thing, it's a very similar situation. And that money that came out of nowhere, it came from somewhere. It came from somebody that's like, you know what, damn, we got to figure something out, because either we can, like you said, Moynihan said, we're not going to be able to match dollar for dollar, but they had to figure out a way to at least keep some of them there, if not all of them. And so it just forced the PGA to step their game up just a little bit more and to make people happy, so to speak.
My question is this. I got one last question about this, because this is what I predict. 5 years from now, the Live Golf Tour does not exist. It's not sustainable. They're not going to.
That's a very interesting timeline, because I heard them say that on ESPN the other day. They're saying 5 years from now, same as you chose, is this going to be around? And you're saying no.
No, I don't think they're going. The money that they're spending out right now, you're not going to get that return in 5 years. You're not going to get $200 million a return of. It's called ROI for any of my economic people out there. Return on investment. You're not going to get $200 million of a return on Phil Mickelson. It ain't going to happen.
They don't seem to care. They don't seem to care.
Of course, right now they don't care, because
eventually you're going.
Eventually, you're not going to keep just spending money without something coming back. And they have so much money in reserves. Absolutely, you could blah blah blah. This is a novelty item to them. But at some point in time, there's going to be people be, hey, bro, I need something. Yeah, something back on it. Now I need you to put something back in my pocket. And it's not a good investment. Is the PGA going to allow these guys to come back? Is this? Are they going to?
Here's another interesting one, though, and a point I heard raised, and I'm curious to see at this point how many more are going to go. Mm-hmm. We've had this initial mass exodus. We may have seen the majority already go. Like, the defections might be coming to a slow, either stop or slow leak. Actually, this past weekend I was thinking Friday, Jason Kokrak, who shot -3 on Thursday, was blowing up on his Friday round. And on the final hole, he hit an errant ball into the rough, hit his approach shot to the green, and blew the green by like 40 yards. And when he went to his ball, he just kept going. He didn't even stop. He didn't come back. He didn't go to the green. He didn't got in his car and left. He didn't turn in a scorecard. Nothing. He just left. He said, I'm out of here.
Damn.
So he was disqualified from the event. And they said that they think that he was just like, I'm off to the Live Tour right now. I'm gone. And there's a couple spots left. But he just hauled ass right in the middle of the.
Please let that happen. Please let that happen. If it does happen, that's going to be my third and final pepper point. 2 weeks from now because I know we're taking next week off. Eddie Cool Amtrak this thing. I know we got another topic to talk about, but oh man,
I got you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's one thing. What's the best way? I'm entertained by this live in PGA. I'm entertained. It's not good for golf, but it's a good storyline.
It is interesting right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It's not gonna make me watch a tournament right now. That part, I just like it's just what is about to happen next? What are y'all really about to do today?
Yeah,
they're going to need a network is what they're going to eventually have to do. I mean, signing the players is one thing because now you can present them to a network and say, we have a good roster, but they ain't going anywhere on YouTube. I mean, they got to get on a network.
You know what? That just gave me an idea about the length of time the LIV is going to last. So with that being said, it's been a while, but it's poll time. That's right, listeners. It's the time for another Sports Bros podcast poll. And the question is, and the poll will be, which sports entity will last longer? The LIV, you know I'm going, or the USFL? Be sure to check that out on the Sports Bros family group. Participate in that. Please participate in that.
I'm ready with my answer. I'll save it, but I'm ready with it.
Oh, man.
We all know what your answer is, sir.
Yeah, we all know what the answer is. All right, we're going to take a little brief break, but coming right back, we'll be talking about Draymond Green because he's been chirping like a bird. Him and Kendrick Perkins, a.k.a. you ain't cute, you ain't handsome, you better thank the logo for that. And he just had a tirade on Draymond Green. It was hilarious. Draymond Green conversation coming up next right here on the Sports Bros podcast. Ow. All right, and we're back here at Sports Bros podcast. And before we left, Draymond Green has been doing a lot of talking, a lot of bumping of the gums, if you will. He's been talking about everybody and everything, new media, this, that, the third, so forth and so such. His notable beef with Kendrick Perkins, where Kendrick Perkins put in he put an Instagram post up this morning, and then it was like, you might want to take it down. Well, he decided to take it down, but sometimes, leave well enough alone, especially if you got a good job. If you got a good job, don't do nothing dumb to mess it up, especially chirping back and forth the doggone with Draymond Green. I mean, you won your fourth NBA title, but you chirping. So, fellas, do we think Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer or he's just full of hot
air? That's tough.
I'm sorry, correction. A future Hall of Famer.
No. So, I mean, that's what I took into consideration.
Okay.
And I'm looking at a couple of things. I still he's a facilitator. He's a contributor. Here's where I gotta ask this question. This is where the difference between Hall of Fame and not Hall of Fame. Is he a starter, a main contributor, or is he a role player contributor? Can you see can you see the difference between the two?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people out there that are role players that never see the light of day when it comes to the Hall of Fame because that's exactly what they are. They're pieces to a puzzle, and the puzzle comes complete because they're a piece. Then there's a part of the main design of the board altogether. It's clear as day that Steph Curry, he's a contributor. He is a main piece of the puzzle. Klay Thompson, main piece of the puzzle. Kevin Durant, when he was there those 2 years, absolutely. Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. I put Draymond a little bit higher than Andre Iguodala, but I'm wondering. I feel like that Draymond Green's performance this year almost showed us that he's not necessarily. I think he falls into that role player status. He's a mouthpiece. He's a team leader. He's an emotional leader. His physicality is there. Absolutely. That's not Hall of Fame. And that's where I leave him out of the Hall of Fame, because it just seems like that if he's not part of his play on the court diminished, and Golden State still did what they need to do. Do they win less championships without Draymond Green? I have no idea. We're in hypotheticals at this point. But that's where I differentiate Hall of Fame from not Hall of Fame. Does Draymond Green have the same success on another team with different characters? I don't know. I don't see Hall of Fame when it comes to Draymond Green. I see him as a product of his surroundings. If it wasn't for Steph, Clay, and who he had former beef with, Kevin Durant, he has none of that success. There was one year where they needed him to be that leader on the team, and Golden State proceeded to be the worst team in the league when Steph and Clay got hurt. Draymond, this is your team. And they ended up being the worst team in all of NBA. Not Hall of Fame. Scottie D, what you say?
No, he's not. He's really good, and he should be in the Hall of really good. But we're talking about elite players. And his resume is improved because of having the 4 championship rings. No question about it. Because on that team, he is definitely part of the engine that makes things go. We know that you take Steph off of the Warriors, they're not winning championships. If you take Draymond, they probably still would win. I don't know 4, but they're winning some championships. I don't think you can even consider putting Draymond Green in the Hall of Fame until Robert Horry is in the Hall of Fame. Because Robert Horry has, 7 rings? Robert Horry averaged 7 points in his career. Draymond averaged, I think, 8 points in his career. Which, that's not his role, but it's still a person who doesn't average double-digit points over the course of their career. Draymond did, he does average 5.4 assists over the course of his career. He's had, and those numbers have improved through the years. His first couple of years, not so much. First couple of years, he scored a little bit more. Well, actually, no, he didn't. He was just kind of working his way into the NBA at that point, as the team was building. Before, the Warriors were the Warriors. He's a good player, and he's defined a role. He's carved out a role for himself as a vocal leader, as a guy who takes heat, as a guy who will scrap and push and get under the other team's skin and draw some fouls and draw some technicals and get some technicals. And all that is great. And every team needs players like him, but he's not a Hall of Famer, I don't think. I mean, I just don't see how with that low of a scoring number. He's not Dennis Rodman. I mean, Dennis Rodman was a great defensive player, a great rebounder. And yeah, Draymond is both those. He's good at both those. But again, so is Robert Horry, and Robert Horry is not in the Hall of Fame. Robert Horry drew the top scoring assignment every time he was, in these NBA finals. He was asked to guard the best scorer on the other team in a lot of instances. And I don't hear a whole lot of people ringing the bell for a Robert Horry Hall of Fame induction. And again, Robert Horry would be a perfect candidate for the Hall of really, really good. But when we're talking about the elite of the elite, I just don't think Draymond is it. Now, the Hall of Fame mouth, yes, he's at the top of the list, because he was sitting there and he was making me sick. This is a guy who I've liked and defended, and he's just making me sick at the parade, just talking trash. What controversial thing can I come up with to say? And just talking like Charles Barkley said, like he's the weak link of the boy band and taking all the glory, like he's the best singer. And he's along for the ride. And I know, again, he's a big part of the ride, but shut up. I mean, come on, man.
I like the way you just said that he's a big, I won't say he's a big part of the ride, but he's never been the main attraction. Nobody's coming to Six Flags to watch, or Disneyland, or whatever's in San Francisco. I'm not that Brian behave, but oh boy, I got stumbled.
He's not driving. He's not driving the bus. We'll say that.
I'm not going to games to watch Draymond Green ever. Glad you're on the team. Glad you contribute, but you're not as big as you think you are. We are giving your accolades as the vocal leader of the team, as putting the team. Hey, come on, fellas, let's get together. Being that motivator. Hey, congratulations on that. That's big. That's
high basketball IQ.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But bro, we're not
great
coming
passer.
to see you.
Great passer. Right.
Hall of decent. Hall of really good. Not Hall of Fame. I like the way you put that, Scottie D.
To quote a movie that came out a while back, ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
They come to see the Temptations.
They come to see the Temptations. I mean, y'all made some good points, man. As you mentioned already, Scottie D. Okay, from 2014, Draymond scored. He had 11.7 per game. 2015, 14 points a game. 16, 10.2 points a game. 2017, 11 points a game. Since then, 7.4, 8.0, 7.0, 7.5. You the Hall of Very Good. You are in the Hall of Very Good. Like you said, he got that Hall of Fame mouth, that Hall of Fame MOUF mouth. He doesn't have a mouth. I mean, but it is what it is. And with that Hall of Fame mouth and some helping, they wanted some, and him contributing, like you said, his high basketball IQ. He's the emotional leader of that team. He, like you said, he's the get them together guy. And so that's what Draymond does best, is just really get them together. So the Sports Bros podcast, we can agree, Draymond, you're not in the Hall of Fame, but you in the Hall of pretty decent. You're very good. Now, pretty soon you're going to be like, hey, Sports Bros podcast, they talking trash about us.
I wish she would. Please bring it on. I'm saying it here. Please, somebody share this with Draymond Green.
Yeah.
I will bring the talk to you directly. You are in the Hall of Decent, the Hall of Hall of Fame. You're not. Congratulations on being drafted to a system that is phenomenal. You would not be able to produce the same results in any other 31 teams in the NBA. This ain't happening. You are very much a system ball player. Sorry, I just don't see it. I didn't see it when you first got drafted. I'm looking at your Michigan State tapes. I'm like, I can see some bits and flashes of it. And at the end of the day, you are part of that system that has been very successful. But you got to understand. And I like, oh man, it just came to me. Come on, Rock. Let me bring my inner Rock. Know your role and shut your mouth. I said that. Draymond Green, I want all the smoke. Bring it. Let's go. I'm telling you, I'm here for it. Bruh, please, somebody send it to him. I don't care. I'm ready for it.
And to Draymond Green. And to everybody that expected Draymond Green to put the team on his back during the finals, what in the hell are y'all smoking? He goes, oh, Draymond, you got to step up. He got to step up. He going to give this little, 7.5, this little 8.2, and that's all you're going to get. He gonna eat up some fouls, get some rebounds, chase some loose balls, and do all that kind of stuff. But other than that, I mean, he's not going to put the team on his back and, oh shoot, Draymond Green had a 20 and 10 double. No, hold your breath. It ain't gonna happen. And when it happens, I'm like, you know what? You all right. But fellas, looking at my watch, guess what time it is?
Time to stop talking about Draymond Green. That's what I said.
Who? That too.
What?
What
time is it? What time is it for me?
Fellas, I'm glad you asked. It is time for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And speaking of Hall of Fame, it's about that time. With that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming up next.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely, Miss Button, for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman. It is the choices of the voices. We've been doing this for a very long time. Damn, it's been 4 years. But guess what? We love every single solitary moment of the choice of the voices. We ask you the question, you give us the answer. We talk about it, decide if you can't listen, follow instructions, or put you in the penalty box. However it goes, is all good and clean fun. Scottie D, I'm excited about this additional choice of the voices. What's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
Okay, so in response of the previous week's question, we're going to flip it and ask you to tell us someone in any sport that is not in the Hall of Fame that you feel should be. We can go ahead and scratch Draymond Green off the list. We've established that one is out. He's not going to be any of our answers, but we did get a couple good answers.
Did anybody say Robert Horry?
No, actually,
surprisingly.
Maybe I'll make a case for him. But Eddie Cool, what do we get here? Tell us what you see.
All right, we got a few. All right, Corey Longren, he says L.C. Greenwood, Barry Bonds, and Steve Smith.
Yep. Now Steve Smith is going to be in.
Oh yeah, God. I see it, but he's not in yet, and he was eligible.
There's been a backlog of wide receivers though for years that getting into the NFL's Hall of Fame, but he's going to be in, and Barry Bonds and L.C. Greenwood are not.
Damn shame. All right, moving right along. We got the best name of the game, JoJo Comfort. He says it got to be Roger Craig. He was the blueprint for the modern dual-purpose running back.
That's a great point because he was, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think 1 year Roger Craig even rushed for 1,000 and received for 1,000 at one point. And if he wasn't the first to do it, he was one of the first to do it. He may have been the first to have done that. But yeah, I remember him being a hard runner with his high knees. That was his trademark, is getting into the line and turning those knees up high. Yeah, borderline. I don't know. You can make a case for him. If you could put Terrell Davis in there, you could maybe put Roger Craig in there.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Scottie D, you are right. Roger, I forgot which year it was because I watched something on it a while back. Roger Craig at the time was the only running back to have 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing. And guess who did it not too long ago? Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers. He also had 1,000 and 1,000. Yep, 1,000 and 1,000.
That's 1985 was the year he had 1,000 yards rushing and receiving. And that same year, he led the NFL in receptions.
Wow.
As a running back.
Wow.
So, yeah, Roger Craig. I need him in there.
He can get it.
Yep. All right, Matty Ice
wouldn't he be past like his eligibility at this point in time, or it's something different in the NFL, right?
Yeah, they have a similar thing with like a veterans committee, that type of thing that does stuff like.
Yeah,
but remember, like a bunch of them went in the last couple of years when they had that like the anniversary thing and they righted some wrongs and put some extra people in there. So hopefully that, like I said, some of that backlog of guys who were borderline or should have gone in earlier and got bumped by players a little bit great. Hopefully that'll open up a little bit of room there. Here's a good one from Martin Tracy there, Eddie.
All right, Matty Ice, he says Lester Hayes.
Lester the Interceptor. He was one of those guys that was hot really early in his career and then kind of cooled off. I think his numbers tapered off, and that may have hurt him a little bit. He may have peaked really early. I think he was in his first or second season, I think, when the Raiders won the Super Bowl over the Redskins. And what was that, like 82, 83, somewhere in there. But yeah, he was pretty darn good.
Yep, pretty doggone good. All right, Will Georgia, he says Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Pete Rose are obvious no-brainers in baseball, but if I had to pick pre-steroid era, I might say Dale Murphy. All right. And then Will Georgia, he also said Lester Hayes is his NFL pick. So we got 2 for Lester Hayes.
Okay.
All right. Who did I put in the penalty box It was Will, wasn't it? Yeah, I put him in the penalty box because who did he pick first?
I think he did a dirty delete because I don't see it on there, but he must have picked Terrell Owens.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yep. That's what it was. Want to make sure it got mentioned. Penalty
but we
box.
can say this: he didn't go to Canton.
Nah.
He didn't. He's in Canton, but he didn't go to Canton.
He didn't go to Canton.
All right. Well, fellas, we got some short lists this week. Shout out to Corey, Joe Comfort, Maddie Ashburn, Tracy, and Will Georgia for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, what say you? Who ain't in there should be in there.
Well, you seem like you were like chomping at the bit to get yours out this week, Eddie. So I think you let us off last week. Lead us off again here if you want to do that.
Okay, you know what? I actually really had time to sit back and do some research and think. I'm like, who ain't in the Hall of Fame should be in there or should get some consideration? I got a list. I got 3. All right. Number 1, this will catch you off guard. He was a fullback for the Arizona/Phoenix Cardinals in the 90s. A gentleman that goes by the name of Larry Centers. All right. And I'm going to tell you why Larry Centers should be in the Hall of Fame or at least get some consideration. All right. As a running back, okay, because we just talked about Roger Craig and Christian McCaffrey. There was that space where nobody wasn't doing nothing, but then Larry Centers not getting talked about. His all-time numbers are this. All right. 761 receptions, second to Marshall Faulk. All right. As a running back, 6,194 yards, second to Marshall Faulk, and 25 receiving touchdowns. So let's just say that between Roger Craig and Christian McCaffrey, you can throw Larry Centers in there for some consideration. And it just hit me as I was putting this together. I said, damn, Larry Centers was James White before James White was James White. Because look at his role with the Patriots. Hey, don't run the ball. Catch this ball. Go on the flats. Catch this ball. So, yeah, that's number 1 on my list is Larry Centers. Number 2, as we already mentioned, Steve Smith, Carolina Panthers, all right? 14,731 yards, 8th all time, all right? And 1,031 receptions, 12th all time. So, him as well, too. And Be Live, you're really going to love this one, all right? My 3rd and final choice for the Hall of Fame, and let's see, he becomes eligible in 2024, Julius Peppers of the Carolina Panthers. Only thing he did was get 159.5 sacks, 4th all time. So that's my list. Larry Centers, Steve Smith, and Julius Peppers. Over to you, Scottie D.
Okay, that's interesting. Because 2 of those guys, eventually you're not going to have to make a case for it. They're going in.
Yeah.
Larry Centers that's an interesting call. I had not given him much thought. I'm like some of these others with I think Pete Rose and Barry Bonds have to go in. I just do. And Barry Bonds, again, we know the story with him and what the substances that inflated his numbers and all that. And the same with Clemens. But the thing is, but there are guys that are in the Hall of Fame from that era who were not caught. There just are. We know that there were guys that did some of these at some point, and I think at this point you have to say that era is what it is. Barry Bonds is the best player to ever play. Pretty much. Some of these other guys are borderline. Like a guy like Andy Pettitte was a borderline guy whose biggest success came at postseason. Like that's what he's looked for as a clutch pitcher. Yeah, I don't know how his career numbers are going to be borderline, but NFL wise, a guy whose picture I posted up was Sterling Sharp, and this guy at the time, I think there was a conversation at the time, who's the best receiver in the league? Jerry Rice, Sterling Sharp, Michael Irvin. It was like those 3 every year. Actually, Andre Rison. They were like the big 4 every year for about a 3-4 year period. Sterling Sharp's biggest issue is that he didn't play long enough. His career got cut short by injuries. He played, 7 years? I think he played.
I thought it was 7 or 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years he played. And put up some astounding numbers. He had a season of 1,400, 2 seasons where he caught over 1,400 yards through the air. Led the league one year with 112 12 receptions, another year 108 receptions. I mean, season by season, those are Hall of Fame seasons. So why do we not say that was a Hall of Fame player when Gale Sayers was inducted into the Hall of Fame and he played 7 years, and in 2 of his 7 years, he only played 4 games. He played 2 each in his last 2 seasons. Gale Sayers was a phenomenal player, but he was a guy who had a bad knee and didn't get to, his career was cut well short. So I look at it that way. I know you need some longevity in this game, especially in football, to be looked at long term. Like a Bo Jackson didn't have nearly the longevity to be, and he had a couple of abbreviated seasons where he didn't play the first 4 games because he played baseball. But if you're going to tell me that I watched Sterling Sharp play and that guy's not a Hall of Fame wide receiver, you're wrong, because he absolutely was. He was maybe possibly a couple years the best wide receiver in all of football. So that's a guy I think you got to go in. A guy from where'd he go to school?
South Carolina, baby.
Okay, that's what I thought. Not all roads lead to Dabo. That one kind of led to.
That's all right.
Led to South Carolina.
Took a slight turn to Columbia.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it. All right, who you got, B-Live? Who's your answer?
Well, there was some strategic reason why I brought out the dusty Carolina Panthers shirt. 1, because I need to do laundry, but number 2, it was also leading towards our choice of the voices answer, because mine is multi-layered as well, because I needed to happen, and it's just a little timeline that's going on. I'm gonna start with Steve Smith, because you telling me that Andre Johnson had a better career than Steve Smith? Anybody want to take on that battle? Because Andre Johnson's in first year, Steve Smith is not. Is that?
I kind of liked Andre Johnson a little bit better. It's a close call. It's not like he was that obviously. I mean, there's a case either way. I'll say that.
I understand. Andre Johnson, stat wise, he did a little bit more per season than Steve Smith. I just think Steve Smith just showed up bigger and just. I mean, Andre Johnson was your prototypical wide receiver, 6'4".
Yep.
Steve Smith just. So now, maybe it's just my emotions, but I'm gonna put it. Steve Smith will definitely get it.
He's in.
But he's going to get in there. But he was first ballot to me. Of course, he's not first ballot. He didn't make it. Well, I'm just thankful that Sam Mills did make it in this year, and he gets honored. So I get a Panther in this year. I'm most likely going to get a Panther in next year. The year after that, that's going to be my second. Not really my second, but I'm going to make sure that I continue to push the envelope. We're going to get a Panther in this year, next year with Steve Smith, the year after that with Julius Peppers, and then the year after that is where it's going to be a fight. And I'm going to fight.
John Casey.
I know his career was cut short. It really wasn't cut short. He made stop it immediately.
Okay, Ray Cruz's career was cut short.
I didn't told you about. He's actually alive, but he did it. But his career, he cut somebody else's life short. That's the problem. But let me finish my point. This is where it's going to be a tough one. For the year 2025, he becomes eligible. I don't consider him first ballot, but I believe he had a Hall of Fame career, and it's got to be my boy Luke.
Yes.
Luke Kuechly. Man, I mean, he led the league in tackles almost every season he was in the game.
8 years. 100 plus tackles.
One of the smartest dudes on the field. Like, he was Peyton Manning on the defensive side of the ball, and nobody should be able to deny that. It's just too many concussions. But I think for the short amount of time he was out there, mind you, Calvin Johnson only played 9 seasons, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Luke should be in the Hall of Fame, and I am petitioning for him to be our first ballot Hall of Famer 2025. So my argument today is Steve Smith. He should have been first ballot, but he'll get in there. But Luke Kuechly, I hope, but I think some people might have something to say about that. But I believe his career should get him into the Hall of Fame.
I think he gets in. I think he gets in.
I'll tell you this. I was thinking about when you talking about some Sterling Sharp. I said to myself, if he had played 2 more years, this is not even a conversation we are not having this conversation. He'll be in
Sterling Sharp.
Yeah, if he had played, if he played 2 more,
that's the thing. If he played, let's say 3 more years and gets to 10, and those 3 years were just average years where he catches 40, 50 balls for 600-700 yards, does that make him more of a Hall of Famer than where he got cut off? You know what I mean? Just because you add extra years, are you going to reward length of time over what he's already done? 8,000 yards in 7 seasons. I mean, I don't think that adding a couple mediocre years or adds to his greatness. I think he's great enough already. Like I said, Gale Sayers was inducted to the Hall of Fame based on 5 good years of football and 2 seasons he barely played. Yeah. So
and that argument right there, what he just said about the mediocre years, the same thing with Michael Jordan and the Washington Wizards. Y'all stop trying to put that blemish on that man's career. He is the greatest of all time. LeBron James is not. I said what I said. Actually, I said Kareem is the greatest of all time. But you know what I'm saying? The argument between MJ and LeBron, MJ. I said what I said. Had to get it out of the way. I'm gone. I digress. My bad.
All right, fellas. So last week our you crazy be like the topic was different, as in who don't belong in the Hall of Fame. And me and you, Scottie D, we agreed on Lynn Swann. Let me go ahead and put this on gallery view because I want everybody to see this. Nothing personal against Lynn Swann, none whatsoever. But the man that I mentioned earlier, right? Lynn Swann finished his career with 336 receptions, 5,462 receiving yards, and 51 touchdowns. Larry Centers had 761 receptions, 6,194 yards, and 25 touchdowns. What?
As a fullback.
As a freaking fullback.
If somebody's got Sterling, yeah.
595 catches for Sterling. So Lynn Swann's a Hall of Famer, Sterling Sharp and Larry Summers. Okay. All right. Fair enough for this conversation.
Yeah, it's just because I'm
when we start getting our votes for Hall of Fame, we'll write that wrong. That gives us something to look forward to.
Yeah, as soon as we get, we put Larry Centers in there because he been beyond eligible, and then we putting doggone who else? We putting somebody else in there too.
Sterling Sharp gets in.
Sharp, yeah. And
you know what? We're going to be the first ones when we get a vote to the Hall of Fame. We're kicking people out. That's what we do in the Sports Bros podcast. You ain't deserve to be here. You know what? It may be after you die. You know what I'm saying? So at least it'll just be shame on your family and not on you while you're alive. But you getting out of there. I mean, what?
All right, do you guys want to hear what it's going to be for next week?
With your little bit of numbers.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Scottie D, what's on tap for next week? Oh yeah. Programming note. We're taking the 4th of July off, and you should too. So with that being said, Scottie D, what'll be on tap when we get back?
Okay, you're going to get 2 weeks to think about this one, but we want you to tell us what athlete you were a fan of that at one point you couldn't stand. Somebody you just used to really dislike in the world of sports, and somehow they turned it around and now you like him. And tell us who that was and tell us why, how that whole process spun around. Because there's a handful of people that are like that with me. And, I'm like, I really like him, but I remember a time when I really didn't.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to give something to talk about in 2 weeks. Eddie Cool.
All right. Who did you not like, but you wound up liking, which means you got 14 days to think about this. All right. Choices of the voices. Coming up next, Pepper. Those things, baby, because we coming right back.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, we do a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, here to engage, enlighten, entertain, and educate, all right? In no particular order. With that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1887, the Philadelphia Phillies, they beat the brakes off of whatever Indianapolis baseball team there was. Anybody want to guess the score?
9-3.
Close. No, it's they beat them 24-0. That might explain why there's no major league team in the state of Indiana. Over to you, Scottie D.
They like their hoops out there. They like their hoops.
Yeah.
This is a time of year where you get a lot of championships, College World Series, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals. I would like to be in charge of the post-game interviewer because Doris Burke notwithstanding, she wasn't around this year, thank God. But here's one of the classic questions that gets asked, the very meaningful question, the very deep, hard-hitting question. So what does it mean to you? I'm sick of that question because you hear it after the PGA Championship, after the U.S. Open, so can you tell me what it means? And the answer is like, oh, it means everything. It just means the world to me. Man, it just means everything. I don't even know what to say right now. It means the world to me. Can somebody please come up with something better than what does it mean to you? Or how are you feeling right now? Oh, well, we just won the Stanley Cup, but I got this Dugan brewing in my gut here. That's how I'm feeling. I gotta get to the porcelain god quick because I've been holding this one in since the second period. Somebody out there doing post-game interviews, do better. Be Live, over to you.
You know what it means to me? Yeah, just another game. Don't mean much of nothing. I'm gonna go home. You know what?
Oh, yeah, it means everything. It means.
Of course, it means everything. Oh. Why do we keep asking these questions? How do you feel right now? I'm ecstatic. I'm elated. Like I don't. But
where did you get your steely resolve? Maybe that wasn't such a bad question after all for Doris Burke.
Yeah, maybe not. It was a detailed question, like your steely resolve, and you had to think like, what in the hell is steely resolve? You know what, Doris? It was wonderful. How about that? Go ahead, Be Live.
Oh, all right. Well, I hate to bring the mood down a little bit, but I try to at least keep it somewhat up and happy and elated. But I mean, Deshaun Watson is still in the news, and the trial, since this is being released on Tuesday, the hearing will start today about what the NFL is going to do. If they're going to suspend him for a year, and if they find one more adjective for lengthy, it's going to be extended. It's going to be expanded. It's going to be extreme. They're finding different ways to say it's going to be long. And they're going to set this precedent, and the NFLPA is going to appeal it because they didn't suspend Robert Kraft for a year. I said what I said. All right, cool. But now, in the latest news, the Houston Texans are being called as well as as part of these allegations and these civil suits that are coming out because they basically have not done enough. They're formally named as defendants in an ongoing civil litigation. Tony Busby, who's been the lawyer that's been over all of these young women that are being that are accusing Deshaun Watson. He's like Houston, Texas had a part in it. And then also a part of one of the stories that I just thought was amazing. There was a massage therapy student, where Deshaun Watson went over to her residence, and her residence at the time, she was staying with her mother. And during the time of going to her mother's house, she accuses Deshaun Watson of harassment and assault. Ugh. How, Sway? How? I'm not guilt or innocence or whatever. But it just keeps more and more twists to these stories. I'm just like, oh, can we get this over with? Suspend the dude. Let him not get paid $1 million. And he's going to come back and play football next year. That's what it is, the business side of things. Eddy Cool, we have no former stance on this. We got to put all these disclosures in here as a Sports Bros podcast. After it's all said and done, read all the fine what's the fine print, yep. What we do, everything here at the Sports Bros podcast. We love everybody. To each their own. Assalamu alaikum, Eddy Cool, the ball.
All right, my second pepper point. You know what? Shout out to Torrey Smith. All right. Last week, Torrey Smith put out a tweet about rookies, particularly rookie dinners. All right. And it goes a little something like this. Rookie dinners are BS. I'm glad I had an OG that realized teaching me to blow money is stupid. All right. It does not prove you belong on the team. None whatsoever. Shout out to Anquan Bolden. Dudes coming to the league with no financial literacy and real problems, but folks think a $50K dinner is cool. Nah. I ain't mad at you for saying that. And shout out to Anquan Bolden. Have you seen the size of Anquan Bolden's arms? I wouldn't want to fight him. None whatsoever. And I'm not saying that Torrey Smith is, is a shrimp, but I totally agree. Like, I understand, you do rookie things, get the donuts, tote the pads, but as far as a $50,000 dinner on a rookie's tab, like he said, a lot of guys come into this league with zero financial literacy and real life problems. But no, you want to be a 10-year veteran. Hey, rookie, buy everybody dinner. How about you buy everybody dinner? Because you're on your downside last good contract. How about you do that, veteran? Yeah, since you want to call shots and stuff. Over to you, Scottie D. Make me sick.
That is true. They do take that. They get that carried away. So in the NFL, Greg Ellis, former Dallas Cowboy, who was very famous for being drafted by the Cowboys ahead of Randy Moss on draft day, but actually had a pretty good career as a on defensive line for the Cowboys. He has just taken a head coaching job for the Southwestern Assemblies of God University. That is an NAIA school with about 2,000 students in Texas. The Sagu Lions last year went 9-3. So it's going to be a step up for Greg Ellis because he previously was the head coach at Texas College, who, as soon as he took the job in 2020, the season got canceled. No season, pandemic. And then last year, they went 0-11, including a loss to his new team, 63-0. And as bad as that sounds, it was not their worst loss of the season. They lost other games by 65, 68, 71, and 73. On the season, they were outscored 648-108.
God! Woo!
And for some reason, the Sagu Lions are chomping at the bit to get their hands on Greg Ellis to improve on that 9-3 mark of last year. Interesting stuff, but congratulations on your new gig. Be Live, over to you.
Improving.
Just give me a moment. Yeah. This got, you know what? I never really thought about that, but there's always a coach and some players on that side of the spectrum that are just really, really bad.
You beat a guy 63-0, and the next year you hire him.
Yeah, well. Oh, well.
Only open that wound. Let me pour some salt up in there. Why don't you?
Ooh, boy.
God.
All right. Let's come on a different side of things. Probably should did a little bit more research to figure out what division this school is at. But this is going to feature the North Greenville University. And it sounds like he might be a cousin of mine. It sounds like he graduated from North Myrtle Beach High School. Once a chief, always a chief. He stands at 6'4", 305 pounds, and he has some eyeballs on him for the NFL draft. None other than Kwame Livingston.
Yes, sir.
Kwame.
Graduated.
It's the man we all know and love. Kwame.
Graduated from North Myrtle Beach, class of 2018, and plays defensive line. And I just want to mention he was North-South All-Star Game selection, high school, first team All-State, All-Region twice. And now, like I said, he's now been interviewing. So it's one of those things where they're putting his portfolio together. And so this is his senior year at North Greenville University. And I wish him the best of luck. I hope that he proves to them all. And come 2023, you will hear his name when it comes to the NFL draft. Sports Bros podcast, all behind you. Kwame, do what it do. Once a chief, always a chief. Livingston family, stand up. Let's get it. Let's go. Eddie, the ball.
That'd be great. I'm gonna root for him. That'd be great.
Yes, sir. Rooting for a local kid. That's good to see somebody from like your side of town going to the NFL. What if that don't make you feel good? I don't know what will. You're not alive if it don't make you feel good. All right, so Scottie D, your favorite portion of the show. So the USFL, they hand out their regular season awards. All right, I got to put this on camera for you to see Beli's face and Scottie D's reaction while I read these awards to you. All right,
Scottie D, you have one more pepper point, so you have to stay around for this. You can't just run off.
Scottie, I'm gonna make it quick and painless for you, baby. All right, like a trip to the dentist office. So here we go. All right, the USFL regular season awards. All right, the MVP goes to Cavante Turpin of the New Jersey General. He's a wide receiver. He finished the season with 540 reception yards, 316 yards after catch, and on special teams, he got 15.3 yards of return. Not that bad.
Future Hall of Famer. Future Hall of Famer.
You better watch out, baby. All right. But here's a guy that I think that won't stay around too long in a good way. Darius Vito. He's a running back of the New Jersey Generals, and he also wins an award too as the Offensive Player of the Year. All right. He finished the season with 577 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, and averaged 57.7 yards per game. And guess what? He did all this as a backup. Yeah.
Somebody signed him.
Yeah. Now, he did all this as a backup. All right. Chris Odom, he's the Defensive Player of the Year for the Houston Gamblers. He led the league with 12.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and was a problem on special teams as well, too.
Oh, problem. Yeah, he's problematic.
That's actually good numbers, Scottie D. Don't do that.
Those are good
6 forced fumbles, 12.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Against the best competition in the world, he did all that.
Damn it. You better watch out now, baby.
There you go.
All right.
He don't like the Live Golf Tour.
He hates me.
Scottie nickname was going to be He Can't Stand Me. All right, and finally rounding out the awards for the New Jersey Generals, former beleaguered head coach, didn't he coach for Alabama too, I think? Mike Riley. Yes, Mike Riley finally did something right, and he is the coach of the year in the United States Football League, and he led the Generals to a 9-1 record. Ladies and gentlemen, those are my pepper points, and that is your USFL regular season awards. Over to you, Scottie D.
Let me catch my breath here for a minute wow, that was some exciting stuff there, Eddie. Cool, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
And just to throw in there while he's catching his breath, July 3rd is going down the USFL Championship. The New Jersey Generals versus the Birmingham Stallions. Both ended the season at 9-1. The 2 best teams in the USFL head to Canton for the championship.
Wow.
And the Sports Bros podcast is going to give you all the coverage that you possibly can handle, which is 0. Scottie D.
I wish I could close my eyes and make that game happen right now. Wish I could just make it be July 3rd. All right. So actually, something I am very much looking forward to coming up on Saturday night, July 2nd, Israel Adesanya putting the middleweight title on line against Jared Cannonier. This card's stacked, guys. We got the third fight between Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway for the featherweight title, and Volkanovski beat Holloway the first 2 times. So those two are the cream of the crop in that featherweight division in order for Holloway to get back in there with him again. Then you get Sugar Show. Sean O'Malley's going to be back fighting Pedro Munoz. A middleweight fight, Sean Strickland, Alex Pereira, which should be a good fight. But another fight has just been revealed, and this is not on the UFC card, but in the world of boxing, we have a big bout coming up between Le'Veon Bell and Adrian Peterson.
How did I know you were going to mention that?
July 30th. Now, you want to talk about a sports event to look forward to. This is the one we've been chomping at the bit to get for a long time. Le'Veon Bell versus Adrian Peterson. AP, I mean, you can't need the money. I mean, Le'Veon, he kind of petered out there. These guys can't need the money yet. Didn't you see what happened to Frank Gore? He looked terrible. Guys, come on.
This ain't it, player.
Be live. Over to you.
Just going to go ahead and give you a quick disclaimer note that bad joke coming your way in 3, 2, 1. Adrian Peterson had to find somebody else to beat on besides his.
Oh, boy.
I was so sick.
Oh, no.
I like it.
Sorry. And there's also another fight I think that's been announced. I keep getting the ones mixed up. Is it Logan Paul versus Tommy Fury? Or is it Jake Paul versus Tommy
should be
Fury?
Jake Paul. I'm not sure when
Jake Paul,
they signed that fight, but yeah, Jake.
The little brother versus little brother. I don't know what's going on, but that's somewhere else.
From the mean streets of Westlake, Ohio.
Be like, isn't there another fight you like to talk about?
Oh yeah, speaking of fight, talk about that one.
I gotta do it, but here's the one thing I want to talk about it briefly. This is the Angels versus the Mariners. Little baseball meets hockey, food and condiments and chips and buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks is being thrown all on the field. But you know what the most interesting part about that fight was? It wasn't the fight, but it was after the fight, where a Seattle Mariners fan, felt so bad for one of the players that got ejected. The fan's name is Sophie Dill. She's a Mariners fan, Seattle Mariners fan living in Arkansas. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Lord have mercy. She must have been a Ken Griffey holdover. But go ahead.
But she decided to DoorDash a whole pepperoni pizza for Jesse Winker, which outfielder for the Mariners. DoorDashed a whole pepperoni pizza to him and said, for the visitors clubhouse, pizza is for Jesse Winker, for the delivery driver.
How nice.
And Jesse Winker actually got the pizza and responded to Sophie. And how does that... So, from Arkansas, mind you, the game is in Los Angeles. The fan managed to DoorDash a pizza through all of the security. It makes it to the visitors clubhouse for Jesse Winker. DoorDash is hey. If anybody that's listening, I'm Poe. So if you want to DoorDash me a whole pepperoni pizza, I won't be mad at you at all. The address is 4626 Elkhorn Drive here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I ain't got to hide from nobody. DoorDash.
All those drivers know your address. They've been there.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. B Live appears to be frozen from the looks of it, and Scottie D is cracking jokes. Fellas,
listen, your Adrian Peterson joke was better. It was better. I'll give you that.
You dirty.
This has been another episode of Scott Donnelly and the Sports Bros Podcast.
You shut up!
Your ass is tripping. Anyway, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. You got anything you want to say before we get the hell up out of here and watch?
I've never been frozen like that before. Wow.
Zinger.
That was not a zinger. That was just slipped out. But hey, look, guys, we will be talking more baseball when we get back in 2 weeks. We'll be closing in on the All-Star game, which is on July 19th. So we've been ignoring baseball a little bit early in the season, but we're going to get to a little bit more of that as we get there. And we'll be tracking Baker Mayfield. He might be in Seattle by the end of the week. Last week he was a Carolina Panther. This week he's a Seahawk. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, happy 4th of July to you, my bros, and to everybody out there. Happy Independence Day. We'll see you on the other side.
Happy birthday, America.
Yep, early in advance. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast. As always, thanks for watching and listening. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Be a blessing and not a burden. All right. And also, look at me real good now. When you're popping in their firecrackers, make sure they're out your hands. All right.
Out your hands.
Don't believe me as JPP. Not taking shots. I'm being honest because fireworks will tear all your hands up. So be careful. Be safe.
Back up, Terry. Back up.
Put it in reverse. Put it in reverse.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
All right.
And I'm proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free, unless it was 2.5 years later in Galveston, Texas. Happy Juneteenth. I said what I said.
Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast. Y'all take care. Bye. Enjoy. See y'all in 2 weeks. We out. Be live. Get us up out of here.
Yes.
He said yes, sir. He said yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
he said yes, sir. Yeah,
all right.
He said it.
All right. See y'all next week. Well, in 2 weeks. Bye. Sports Bros. We out. Hey, it's Eddie Cool here from the Sports Bros podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros podcast in your life? Wait a minute. Don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.